As the end of my 38.5 years with the city of Emporia, I have my thoughts are the fact that I have truly been blessed by the people I've worked with and have known through the city. I would encourage the folks in the city to continue to do a job like they do each day, and do a job to serve the citizens as they do and as well as they do. Special mention to the first responders of our community, who I think are the best in the state of Virginia. The fire department, police department, members of the rescue squad. Our hats go off to them each and every day, and they have my admiration for the job they do.
Over the 38 years, name some of the major changes that have come about under your stewardship.
Well, it's always a challenge to deal with finances. The state and the federal government continue to make cutbacks, and this is not just now, but over the entire period. They juggle money back and forth, and it really hits home when it gets back to the local government. And local governments continue to search for other revenues to make up for the losses caused by the state and federal government. That is a big challenge. Some of the important stuff that we have done are really too numerous, but I always point to the West Atlantic Street, North Main Street intersection. If you remember years ago, that was just a 2-lane road, and Bain Drummond and I went out one Friday afternoon and came up with the idea of making a turn lane there. The city owned the property. It was just a minute. It was just a thought of how in the world could we get an extra lane in there, and we moved around close to telephone poles and maneuvered it to a point where it cost the city very little to improve that intersection. And people today don't realize the wait they used to have to make it at that intersection, and now they could just use the turn lane and move right on. And that's one of the little things that really did improve traffic flow in that area.
I remember that because when I came here, there was no turning lane.
No,
that was done after I arrived here in town.
And of course, you know, it's a natural thing, but you know, the loss of our mom and pop shops. When I came here in the early 70s, Emporia was full of mom and pop shops, local banks, hardworking people who really cared for the community. And over time it has evolved to the larger big box type of retail. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but it really does sort of take the real hominess out of a community. And for those that are still out there, the City Auto Supplies and the Halifax hardware store, these folks work hard each day, and they really need the support of local people. Plan 5, you know, all of our mom and pops that we continue to have, but that's a change nationwide, and it's and back in the 70s it really did make a community strong. And I'd love to see more mom and pop stores. The Whimsy Tree, just an excellent example of somebody going out and making a business and doing a wonderful business, but it's a lot of hard work. But I commend all of them.
All right, if you will, would you tell us about the changes you've seen in recreational opportunities for the children in the community?
Certainly. In the early 70s, recreation was carried out by the CYC and the EGRA And back in the 70s, we received a grant where both the CYC and the EGRA were able to expand their facilities. The EGRA expanded to the city's old dump site where it presently sits, and it was a great project for the city because we were able to close the dump, cover it, and then put ball fields on top. And today it continues to be a wonderful outdoor recreational area for the youth and as well as the adults of our community. CYC has recently fallen on hard times. However, they are continuing to in a rebuilding program presently. But the years that have gone by, we've lost our swimming pool, some of our tennis courts, and those are areas that I would have liked to see come back. But now we have Boys and Girls Club, which is an expanded type of recreational program. We have the YMCA, which certainly is a highlight of our community, providing sources of health care for all of the people of the Emporia and Greensville County area. So our recreation has expanded from soccer and baseball and football all the way up to the things which are available to the community through the YMCA. So all in all, I think recreation has been a big improvement. The downside is over the years, recreation has been taken care of by volunteers, and the volunteers deserve a pat on the back, but volunteers are becoming fewer and fewer, and they're, whether we have to massage the way recreation is done in Emporia, Greensville, that might be a question in the future, who runs it, but the bottom line, it'll be here and it'll be done correctly. But as many things in this community, it's done with volunteerism, and my hat is off to all those volunteers over the years who have assisted children in the many ways through being coaches and that type of thing. It's really admirable the way the volunteers provide recreation for our community.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes in industrial development over the years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, industrial growth in our area is one that's evolving as we speak. Certainly the county, who has taken the lead in the mega site, has and continues to do an excellent job. That is sort of a governmental growth area, and certainly the city supports it, and other localities. And the city realizes that we don't have a lot of industrial areas for growth, so we're putting our emphasis on retail growth. And we have a staff person now who is working hard to bring new retail venues into our community. The city and the county both have joined TransTech organization, which is a number of counties to our west, and we're sort of teaming up on a regional basis to bring growth not only to Emporia, Greensville, but also to our area, and that in turn will assist in providing jobs for the people in Emporia, Greensville, and that's our emphasis today. Seems like industrial growth, industrial development seems to change every 10 or 15 years, but we have to make those changes to be ready for an industry when they come. And we have to do it on a regional basis. And we are now, in my opinion, well suited for that big one to come to the Emporia, Greensville area.